everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the 4 types of cheaters. First of all, I would like you to just acknowledge that I am not in any way supporting cheaters. It's a very bad way of having a relationship, and it's certainly not a way to lead a relationship. Although I'm going to talk about some issues that we as humankind have on this planet and why are we so prone to cheating. We can also talk about how cheating is in a way more supported by society than polyamory, which is an honest way of dating more than one person and loving more than one person. Also, we can talk about other things that we finally see around in the movies, and cheating should be the last solution, if solution at all. It is not a solution. It is basically the end of relationship as it is, and where there's no trust, there's nothing else left worthy to stay in a relationship for. And either if you're on one side, if you're the cheater feeling bad and guilty for it, or if you're the person that is unfortunately on the other side feeling hurt and broken, and is not the way to do things. If we talk about our past, the past of humanity, we can talk about how cheating was more socially acceptable if you're a man, and if you're a woman in certain countries you could be killed for it, or seriously injured or exiled by your husband or your family. But if you're a man, you're kind of allowed to have more than one woman without being touched by the society. So we can talk about that, and in a way that if you're a man, you're kind of likely to get away with it easily. If you're a woman, depends on where you're born and what is the social upbringing of that nation. We can also talk about other things, about divorce and marriage, and it's kind of like a really long subject, so I don't want to go around too much. We can just kind of revolve it around the fact as traditional marriage and the way that people have been doing things and the way that people are still trying to do things, it's outdated and should be revised. So in a way, cheating, or being the person that has experienced that lack of trust in their partner, it's all certainly avoidable if the communication and other things fall in place. Alright, let's talk about the first type of the cheater. The first type of the cheater is the one that cheats for lack of love or lack of passion. Communication is the most important thing in a relationship, or so we hear it all the time. But do we really think about it? Do we really implement that in our relationship? And in the end, do we really communicate the important bits or just the random rubbish along the way? I mean, if your husband or your wife comes home from work and you ask them, how was your day? Are you really curious? Or you're just avoiding to talk about some serious issues? Do you avoid talking about the fact that you fancy their friend for a while? There's no really point in asking someone how was their day if you're not really curious about it. So we throw the questions along the way because we either feel guilty for not communicating, or we read somewhere that we should be communicated with someone, and then we feel guilt that the passion is gone. But how do you communicate that to your partner? Secrets that are left to rot come back with revenge, I can assure you of that. It is easier to communicate the feelings when they're fresh, instead of just hoping that they will miraculously disappear, which never happens. If you're missing love or passion in your relationship, you need to talk about that with your partner. It is socially unacceptable at the moment to say to your partner, oh, I don't feel sexually attracted to you anymore. But do you think it's easier or better to cheat on them? It's reckless to imagine that you will be able to spend the rest of your life with someone that you don't feel love to, or passion, or both. It's like pretty much having to pee and then you hold it in hoping that the urge to pee is gonna magically disappear. And you end up either peeing yourself or getting sick, or both. Some people choose to say that intimacy is not any more important in their relationship. I've seen plenty of that already. It's like, oh, we don't do that anymore. It's not very important in our relationship. It's usually the one side of the relationship, so it's either a guy or a woman. It's usually a woman for some reason, unfortunately, that she says, I am no longer interested in sex. It's pretty much like saying I'm no longer interested in you. In many cases, not in all cases. So okay, we have asexual people, which is grand, perfectly, if they can find a partner that is okay with that part of them, or if they can allow their partners to actually satisfy that part with someone else, which is fair enough, right? That relationship can still function. But if you force the other party to give up on something that they deem important, it never usually works. So sometimes people are so dedicated to a love relationship and that they suppress their urges, and then by society's standards, these are the ideal spouses. And that is literally pissing me off, because suppressing the urges, then you're the husband or a wife of the year, I wouldn't say so, right? That is, in the long term, a recipe for a disaster. But people still do it. That's why you have the midlife crisis. It's where people finally snap out of it and like, wow, I'm 50, but I have all these other urges, all these things. I want to feel sexy, I want to feel attractive. It's like the clock is ticking. I don't have many years of beauty or sexiness anymore. Idiotic, I know. But then, you know, they go and buy a good car and they're like, or on a big bike. It's all the energy that we all need to have. An ego, having a healthy ego, is not a bad thing to have in a relationship. Feeling attractive, feeling passion in yourself, it's something that you really, really need in your life. We call it like the big, you know what, energy. It's applicable to both women and men, and we need that. We also need to feel loved. Feeling loved is feeling appreciated, and if you're missing any of these things, the feeling will kick in at some point. We know a lot of these marriages where people are very conservative. I have no issues with conservative marriages. You can play whatever you want in your relationship. Whatever story goes for you, whatever is making you feel great, go for it. But if you frown at other people, like, oh, look at them, oh, look at them, oh, look at them, there's something wrong with your relationship. I assure you. So in certain moments, these people start cheating on each other. It's a typical story that a woman is cheating for love and the man cheat for sex. We can talk about these stupid examples where I even had it in that TV show that I did a review recently for. So the story was she's fantasizing about her ex-boyfriend, and her husband says in one moment, she is my wife, she is the mother of my kids, I can't be doing these things with her. That's a typical example where a man would cheat because he doesn't feel okay with asking the wife, the woman of his dreams, to do certain things that he is and was fantasizing about because they're dirty. He wants to keep them out of their relationship. A woman maybe feels like she's too needy, so she's gonna back away from the man, because guys usually treat women like that because we're very clingy sometimes. So we come with a lot of passion, a lot of love, and they have been raised in a way that they can't accept it. So a woman is like, okay, I'm gonna back off, and then this need builds up inside, and someone comes over and that's it. So in a way, I would say if you feel lack of passion or lack of love in your relationship, you need to start talking. Communication is the major point here. If you come to the dead end, if you really feel that there is no love or no passion in your relationship, it's better to pack the bags and go. But if there's any chance to solve it out through conversation or through doing something, finding a relationship coach or a therapist, I would go for it. And then after you kind of bring out other parts of yourself in a relationship, it can be a brilliant relationship. But you need to start talking. Let's talk about the second type of a cheater, which is a narcissist and a person that loves to cheat. These people consider relationships more as like a fight for power and dominance. They date you to defeat you. It's a typical trait of a narcissist, and we can talk about countless examples because they're all different. Because it's a case of proper disorder, or just a case of big unhealthy ego. These people have been played out by their parents in their childhood. And the lesson they got is that relationship is a struggle for power. They're sure that people will hurt them, so they choose to hurt people first. There is a serious case of broken trust here, and they will go to therapy in extremely rare cases. They're usually very successful at work, and they seem like people that have everything under control. People, rarely see them as people that need therapies until they start dating them. And if you talk about their behavior to other people, people are not going to believe you. These are your favorite bad boys with successful careers and the ones that don't really need you. That's why women deem them interesting. It's the same with women, because women are also like the types that don't really need you. So they will kind of defeat you straight away. They're really afraid of connecting truly with someone, that they will do everything possible to destroy that possibility. They will cheat on you at the point when you feel like you're coming the closest to them. And it's cheating for them is like a safety net. So I did it first, so if you do it, I'm already at an advantage. They learned at a young age that love is all about dominance and survival of the fittest. And they're really, really lonely inside. Dating them is like walking through a wild raspberry bush. You are sure you're gonna get cut. But if you're gonna find raspberries, that is a question. Not everyone can really reach them. And it's all about whether they want to get reached. So if you're one of these people, go to therapy, because you will discover after a while that you have a deep, deep wound connected to trust and to intimacy. And the way that you're keeping safe is also basically like keeping yourself safe from love. And that, of course, we all know that is not going to get us anywhere. I'm trying not to be too judgable to these people because they're really in pain. But I would say if you're dating them, be careful, because they will do things that you will never understand. And they will hurt you just because they're scared, but it still hurts. Let's talk about people who fall in love with multiple people that are not aware that polyamory is a thing. Maybe they never heard of the term until recently. Maybe they never heard about it at all, or they're just in a society that doesn't accept it, so they can't practice it. After the centuries of monogamy, we are all confused mentally and emotionally, and rarely people take a go on it. Some people struggle to fit into monogamous relationships, and they have to go through guilt episodes because they have these attractions to other people. Some feel like there's always something missing in relationships, and they feel like they're broken. And there's a lot of these people that kind of feel like they can't really live the life to the fullest, which is ridiculous, of course. But as I'm saying, not every society is the same. Like, it wouldn't be the same if you're polyamorous in America, or if you're polyamorous, for example, where I'm from, in Croatia. Like, I wouldn't care, but there's a lot of people that live lives where they need to have socially acceptable type of behavior. For example, if you're a politician, it's not really cool to say that you're polyamorous if you live in a certain kind of environment and if you're doing certain kind of job. So for some jobs, you still have to be the face of responsibility and being a married person going to the church, you know, like these are all kind of acceptable things that we need to do. And then you come home and your relationship doesn't work, but you have to play it out for the sake of your whatever reputation, right? We've seen a lot of politicians going through this where they're cheating on their wives and then they end up in the newspapers. There was this thing in UK recently. Sexuality was always such a big point of reputation in a way. We're going to trust a person that's monogamous, has a stable marriage, goes to church and pays the taxes, right? But can we really? I would rather trust a person that is really, you know, like open about their feelings, and a person that is really, you know, good with themselves. If they're good with themselves, like they're probably going to be good with the rest of the world. So unfortunately, a lot of people still have to fit into boxes that are not made for them. We can talk about other things as well, being bisexual or asexual or whatever. Like if you're living in certain kind of countries, or if you're living in other countries, it is not the same, but you can still work away with your partners if that is possible and kind of keep it going if you can. Let's talk about the fourth case. Some people use cheating as a coping mechanism. As I was saying in recent videos, I mentioned it kind of, that some people when they feel bad, they go and get a huge bowl of ice cream and eat it up. Some people grab crisps and eat them until they faint. Some people drink, some people smoke, and some people cheat and use sex as a way to cope. Is that healthier or unhealthier than the other options? I would not talk about it. I would say that all coping mechanisms are usually wrong and bad for you. And in this case, especially because you risk getting STDs and other things. So I would say it's not a great coping mechanism, but it's one of them. So I've seen that a lot in the world. And people, when they have these kinds of coping mechanisms, they carry them into marriages, and then when things go south, they start cheating. If you're this kind of person, you need to see what you're coping with. So basically exploring what types of things push you into coping in this way, and then see what you can do instead. Coping with these kind of risky things, it's usually the sign of punishing yourself, basically, or it's a sign of lack of attention or love, basically, and it is something that can be easily dealt with, so I would advise therapy. Anyways guys, this was the 4 type of cheaters. Tell me if you have met any of them in your lives, and if you want to share any kind of personal opinion, please do. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, and if you like the video, please hit the like button. I am wishing you a lovely day, and I will see you next week. Bye!